proud graduate of our entrepreneurship program, which some of you are in. She also earned her MBA, and she is a proud former Charlie Cardinal.
Woo, chirp, chirp.
After her MBA, she joined East Central ISBDC, first as an intern and then as a business advisor. She really loves supporting and guiding others through business decisions, leadership decisions, entrepreneurial decisions, and helping them see their dreams become a reality. After that, she actually served as the assistant director for the Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute here at Ball State, and she gained a lot of new insights through that job. She's certified in a number of assessments and other certifications, and gained a great skill set. So today, she serves as executive director for a local nonprofit and makerspace in her hometown. It's called Maker 13, where she uses her really diverse, cool background in business, education, theater, and skills that she developed during her time here and then during her other experiences to help others. So we're excited to have Kyleigh back. It's like a very full circle experience for her and for us. And so give her a warm welcome.
Hey, thank you guys. Yay.
All right. I don't know. I will use this. I think you can hear me, but we'll see. Okay. So the way this will work in terms of format, since this is our first guest speaker, is we like to do kind of a fireside chat where we're just having a conversation. We've talked about some questions, and so I'm just going to ask some questions, kind of like in an interview format for Kyleigh to answer. And then at the end, we will definitely leave time. So be thinking about questions that you have for Kyleigh, and just be, paying attention, taking notes. I know for both Dr. Matthews' class and then for my class, there is an assignment related to this as well. So just be actively engaged, and we appreciate Kyleigh giving her very valuable time as a leader. So just to start with, and some basic context here, can you share, Kyleigh, like your story? What inspired you in your entrepreneurial and leadership journey?
Yes, well, thank you guys so much for having me. It is good to be back home in Muncie. My start kind of did kick off at a young age. My family owned a couple of rental properties like before it was like hip to do it, like the Chip and Joanna Gaines era. And so my childhood was spent like weekends were in the house. We flipped houses, and then we also cleaned the houses for tenants. So I joke that I was like on my mom's lap helping with the books, or I was in like paint splattered with a hammer loop kind of pants and like working in the houses. So I saw that from an early age. And then, gosh, it was like I was a whole theater kid growing up. But then I was coming to Ball State, and I like totally pivoted, and I said, Mom, I want to do business. And she had kind of inspired that, I think, early on again. And so I came for the entrepreneurship program. Proud to say I successfully passed the pass-fail program. That's why I'm here. But went through that and then just kind of continued on. I worked for a startup right out of college, a place called Ninja Zone, who I met through a speaker like this when I was sitting in your seat. And so I continued on the startup route, and then, gosh, business advisor, business coach, and now executive director. So it's kind of been, again, full circle to come and see it at a young age and then continue that life. But it's not something I predicted ever either. I never said I want to start my own business because it's a not linear path.
That's great. I know, but it's not working.
Oh,
so,
no. Do you need this
Mary,
one?
it's fine. I'm a professional.
We'll shout.
I
Yes.
can shout.
We will
so
project.
In terms of that, you said it's not usually a linear path. And so also in addition to sort of pivoting, I'm sure you faced some challenges like any leader along the way. Can you describe one of the significant challenges you faced? How did you overcome it? What did you learn? What resilience did you build from that? Can you tell us about and we always talk about the positive experiences.
Yeah.
Talk about something that maybe did not go as planned.
Yeah, so there's plenty of them. The most significant, I would say, was in September of 2022. I was actually working as a business coach. It was my dream job. I was certified. I was loving it. And unfortunately, due to a change in the structure of the company, I got let go. And it was a month before I got married. It was about 6 weeks before I had spine surgery, and like 8 weeks before Christmas. So that was probably like the deepest dive in my life of just like oh, this is not what I expected, not what I planned, not where I hoped I would be. But coming out of that, it really was a good learning moment, because you really have that moment of, okay, I got to take my future into my own hands, and I gotta make things work regardless of the situation. You kind of find those bright lights and those little moments to lean into when it's really tough. And so those kind of got me through, and my family, my support system, I mean, so many people helped keep me on a good path, because it could have been very easy to just shut down and give up. And there was a lot of experiences even through my time at Ball State that I leaned back into, like business plan writing. So I picked up a couple weeks of helping a friend who was building a business write his business plan, and I contracted that and got paid. So I was kind of making a little living for myself while I was in the midst of looking back for a job, because I was coming out of surgery, so I couldn't necessarily just jump right back in. But I kind of found those moments to make a light out of something that was dark, and learned a lot from that. But it was, again, not an ideal situation, but you make the most of it.
Thank you. So the light's not even on, so
Oh,
we're just going
no.
to get rid of that. I
Good
think the
mind.
battery's dead. Okay, so you completed an ELI's assessment, one of their assessments, back in 2020, and I happen to have the results, which you were nice enough to share with me, and I'm going to have to read my notes here. So according to this assessment, your preferred entrepreneurial style is artist. And for students who may not be familiar with what that means in terms of this assessment, generally speaking, if artist is the style that you come back with after completing the assessment, it means it often describes someone who values creativity, loves ideas, searches for new solutions to problems and challenges, empathizes with and respects the customer, values the human condition, appreciates subtleties of their craft, is comfortable with ambiguity, and may be hard to predict. How well do you think that does or does not describe you, and how does that translate into your leadership style in general, and then also just related back to that assessment, and how has it evolved?
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, I had taken this 5 years ago while I was working with ELI, and I would say it has not changed a ton. The ambiguity, the creativity, those are kind of the words that always have stood out to me with my leadership style and kind of the things I gravitate towards. And it's fun to, again, full circle be back, especially I want to shout out Charity Kaufman in the room. She and I have both been through the same position with ELI, the assistant program director there. And when I was coming in, I had started in March of 2020, started March 2nd. And about 14 days later, we were shut down, as was the entire world. So at the time, Ball State was hosting the Innovate Within pitch competition. We had gone through 8 out of 9 regions. Our final day, we had to shut down, go virtual, last minute. So that was kind of a moment of ambiguity. I mean, the whole world was like, what do we do and how do we make this happen? But with the team, we had Candy and Rob and Charity and everybody from the comms department, everyone jumped in real fast to make the pivot and make the shift that was needed. And then since then, after we wrapped up that program, it's really fun to be here today, especially because I heard a little mouse told me that there's the Gen I group that is out in Disney World right now, and that's so fun to be to hear today, because Gen I was actually one of my little brain babies when I was here. So I helped build what that program looked like, and it was kind of a foundation from a program that Dr. Rob had at one point called Entrepreneurial Leadership. And we kind of took the foundation pieces of that and spun it into Gen I. If you don't know Gen I, it stands for Generation Innovation. So that was a fun little full circle, because it didn't exist, so we had to create it. We had to build it out. So thankfully, I guess while COVID was happening and we were shut down, it was nice to get deep dive into the brainstorming and the creativity and build something from nothing. And then I was thinking about it too, and I was kind of joking looking back, because the Chic Innovate program also is through ELI, and that was another program I got to help build. And I'll be darned if Rob and I did not go back and forth on every single name we could have named that program. And he and I were at the whiteboard for like, I kid you not, probably 45 minutes straight trying to figure out a name for this program, which out of everything we did for that program, that was probably the hardest, was naming this program. And just a fun little peek behind the curtain. As he and I were talking back and forth, he had turned his head and said something, and I said, "Ooh, chic innovate? And he was like, what? And I was like, did you not just say chic innovate? He was like, no. And I was like, well, that's definitely what I heard. And that sounds like she can innovate. And we both just kind of like, that's it. So if there's anything about ambiguity and like not always knowing the path, and sometimes maybe that miscommunication, when you spin it in a good way, it can become something bright, but it's something to be aware of too, I think. Because again, like just a verbal moment was not what it intended to be, but blossomed into something fun. So a fun little backstory about ambiguity and creativity there.
Great. And I'm going to backtrack just
Yeah.
1 minute because I realized after the students have read your bio and I just reread it, some students may not know what a makerspace is. So you're an
Yeah.
executive director of a makerspace, and this kind of leans back into your artist
Yes.
style. Can you tell them what that means? Like, what do you
Certainly.
do on the daily?
Oh, okay, what don't I do?
Yes.
Right now, I am the only full-time employee at our makerspace in Maker 13. So what we are exactly is a nonprofit located down in Jeffersonville, Indiana. We've been around for 10 years. We actually started as a mobile unit where we brought 3D printers and laser cutters and CNC machines to schools to teach STEM education. And that kind of evolved. I mean, there was a demand for, hey, can I use the laser all the time? And after about 2 years of the mobile, we said, why not have a shop and a stationary place? So now that has evolved. In addition to the 3D printers and the laser cutters, we also offer textile work, so an embroidery machine, a sewing machine, and heat press. We have an entire wood shop. I don't know how many of you are familiar with like wood shop in schools, like planer, joiner, lathe, cool things there. And then we have a metal shop that has welding and plasma cutters and very diverse skill sets. And what we found with that space was there's kind of 4 key areas that we operate in. The education, the STEM education is a huge one. Again, getting science, technology, engineering, and math into the hands of students so they can actually manufacture something on the spot and walk away and say, hey, mom and dad, I made this. We have the entrepreneurship piece, which is where I got involved actually as a volunteer about 3 years ago with the organization, and where we saw people making and selling things. They also were like, hey, I don't know how to file my taxes or if I need to be a sole proprietor or an LLC. So we built a program to kind of teach high level, and we had attorneys come in and CPAs, attorneys and CPAs and experts come in to introduce these topics and be a local connection for them. The workforce development piece is a new one to me, but it's a lot of fun to hear of people being trained on the equipment. So like a CNC machine, they can come with us. We can certify them with like 80 hours of equipment time, and they can take that back to their job and say, I am more experienced, therefore I'm more valuable. And we actually helped a couple people, especially recently. One of them came in for an interview, and they actually offered him a $10 per hour raise because of his experience that we were able to help provide. And then the arts and culture piece is a lot of fun to see people just get crafty and creative. And again, that's where I lean with the artist. And so to see people have that outlet, and in some cases sell it, and in some places they donate it to auctions or to beautify areas. So that is kind of what our makerspace is. Each one's a little different, but the Innovation Lab on campus in the Oakwood building, very, very similar. So if you've ever been out there with the 3D printers and the Cricut and all the fun there, super similar. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you. So you're the only full-time employee as the executive director. How do you, so you can't be all things all the
Right.
time, and your style is our artist, and there are other styles and strengths and talents out there. How do you build either partnerships or a team that complements your skill set?
Yes. Oh my gosh, and this was so required because again, I'm the only full-time. So while I manage the budget and I do file the taxes and I help with the marketing and the operations and the staff schedule and the membership software, I could not do it alone. And I say that so genuinely because as I was interviewing for this position, I knew the board and I knew the staff and the volunteer group we had. And that's why I said yes to the job. It would not have been without them that I said yes, because I knew the skill set they brought. And so where I'm a more artist, more ideator, brainstormy type person, I'm not always the best implementer. So while I can see the vision, sometimes I struggle to see the steps to make that happen, or I get a little too excited and I go down 18 rabbit holes and then nothing gets done. So with my team, we can easily see the opportunities identify what action needs to happen, and then we delegate that work. And so I need those implementers, I need those doers on the team, and thankfully that's a lot of our volunteers, is they just want to see the space flourish, but they need direction, and they say, hey, we need the vision to run towards, we need guidance on where to go, but you tell me what you need and I got this. So it's that teamwork effort, and it's the partnerships and the skills that I think have really made that successful there.
What strategies specifically do you use, whether it's with the board, the volunteers, or even the students, and in the community, really,
Yeah.
to build a positive culture?
Yes, a lot of it is, again, even kind of going back to the moment I got let go and seeing the light in the darkness. Thank you. The positive culture, again, every day can be a hard day, but it doesn't mean it's a bad day, and it doesn't mean the entire day is down the drain. So in our day-to-day operations, kind of instilling that positive culture is addressing maybe the areas of improvement and addressing them quickly. We don't let them linger, we don't let them simmer and build up. So when we address them quickly, we can grow together and then move forward, and it doesn't toxify, I guess, the culture. And one example, just kind of paint the picture real quick right now, is even literally last night, we had a board training at 4 o'clock. I get my board in the conference room, and we're in like an old body shop. I mean, this is a warehouse. This is cement floors and concrete brick. It's very like, you come in jeans and a hoodie. And right now, obviously, it's very cold, and the shop is not the cheapest thing to heat. So we do our best, but we got our conference room ready. Board is sitting down, and I've got heaters going because we're in a little conference room. And our trainer got about one sentence in before the breaker flipped. So then the whole room is dark, the TV is off, we can't hear anything, we can't see each other, and clearly it's gonna be freezing here. So we shifted into the main shop, and I was so nervous and so anxious about it because we had about 7 members operating some very loud equipment. We had the vents going, we had the wood shop loud, and the saws going. And I'm sitting here, I was like, my board is gonna think, I can't handle this. My board's gonna think, I don't know how to manage my team and the shop and keep the lights on, literally. And so I'm having this panic moment, but I'll be darned if it wasn't that team effort of the skill sets, and everyone just said, okay, let's pick up and move. We wheeled the TV out, we set the camera back up. Within 3 minutes, we were up and running again. But as I'm sitting there, and I'm coming down from the fluster of it all, of just, wow, this was so unexpected, and here we are taking away time from our trainer. As I sat there and kind of sat back and looked around, I saw the members see the board, and I saw the board see the members, and everyone kind of see each other. And that's not something we get all the time, because it does feel like the shop can be very siloed from the board of directors. And so to see them see each other, I was like, okay, that's the positive side of this, is like, we needed this, and we didn't even know we were gonna have this opportunity. And it turned out just fine. I mean, yes, the vents were loud, but the TV was louder. So it happened to be fine. It wasn't as scary as I think I made it in my head. So maybe that's a lesson to learn from my mistake, was to don't overthink it. Yeah.
Thank you. So you were sitting, it must just be me.
Oh, no.
Literally. I don't know. It's just me. It doesn't work.
Do you want, I'll give you this one.
It's on. Hello. Nope. I don't know. Yeah.
Here, take this one.
Sorry.
No, we can just share.
Okay, that does work. Okay. So about a decade ago, on the average, we have students that are first year all the way through graduating this
Awesome.
May, but I would say the average right now of between the two classes is probably like a sophomore.
Okay.
So about a decade ago,
Oh, yeah.
you were literally sitting here.
Yes.
And you've come so far in your leadership journey and success.
Thank you.
What role has mentorship or a support system played in that? And can you provide a specific example of how that contributed to your success?
Yes. Oh my gosh, 100%. If I could not scream this topic, I won't, because we're on a mic and being recorded, but if I could not shout this from the rooftops enough, the connections I made here as a student, literally in your seats, like Dr. Dixon said, 10 years ago, I was cultivating these relationships and building my mentorships. And you have to be humble. You have to say, hey, I'm a student, I need help. But then there's that confident side of, now I am a student, but what can I do to help you? And ending every conversation with, please keep me in mind if there's something you can think of that I can help. Or a skill set you're looking for, because I think it's very easy to fall into the I'm just a student label. And so when I was at Ball State, a couple mentors of mine, actually, I still work with today, and again, talk about a full circle. One that comes to mind is Jacob Schbach. He was on our board through the Entrepreneurship Center. He now works at Elevate Ventures, and that's a partner of Maker 13. So he has literally seen me grow in the past 10 years from student to executive director where I am now. But if I cannot give a special enough shout out, Peggy Sonova, if you ever get the chance to encounter her. At the time when I met her, she was the regional director of the ISBDC, and she saw me in the program as a student. Then we worked together on a committee for Startup Weekend and the Women in Business group, so we got to know each other really well. And she stands out so much to me because when I was in my last semester of grad school, I had 3 semesters total. I was in my summer semester, and I was kind of wrapping up, and I was really torn between, do I go look for a job, like my full-time career next, or do I kind of take the summer and have like a fun job? I really liked serving tables as a younger kid, so I was like, maybe I can just do that for the summer. And I was so daggone torn, and so not knowing what to do or where to go, I posted on LinkedIn, and I said, hey, network, what do you recommend, or what's your advice, or how would you approach this? And that's what prompted Peggy to reach out and say, hey, Kyleigh, if you are looking for that full-time gig, we've got an internship opportunity I think you'd be great for. And so she reached out to me because of that, and she changed my life. I mean, truly, it was where I think I got my career start in the path that I'm in now. I made so many connections. I work with the ISBDC in the Southeast region now, and she was at my wedding. She was amazing. So definitely go find her, meet her. She's great. Oh, yes, I forgot.
Sorry.
We share, yes.
Yep. And Jacob was a guest speaker for this class
Oh,
as well.
perfect.
So that was
Yes.
a good full circle
Talk
too.
to him too.
Yes, and some students may not know, in terms of Peggy, what the ISBDC
Yes.
is.
Yes, I can break that down. It's actually, if we're up here.
A great
so,
resource. So.
Yes, and it's the ECI SBDC, so let's add to the craziness. The East Central Indiana Small Business Development Center, say that 18 times fast. But Peggy was the regional director, and there's a team of business advisors. It's a free resource through the state of Indiana. It's paid for through tax dollars. So anyone who's looking to learn about a business, to talk about a business, or maybe just has an idea and is questioning, do I want to pursue this, or is there a market for this? I cannot, again, shout it from the rooftops enough. Go to the ISBDC. It is literally in your backyard. There's alumni who actually work there. I believe James Womack is still there. And so it's a great group, and there's a lot of ties to Ball State. It's actually hosted by Ball State. So if that is not a resource that's easily accessible, that can 100% change your future and trajectory, jump into it, 100%. Great question, thank you.
So kind of building on that, whether it was, talked about Dr. Matthews at ELI, where you were, talked about Peggy, Jacob,
Yeah.
all of this. I think one thing that commonality among them is how they really live their values through their work.
100%.
So I just want to build on that and ask, how does your leadership and business style reflect your values? And how do you make sure that your purpose stays aligned with your goals?
Yeah. This is a very timely question where I am in my life. So prior to maybe the past 2 years, maybe 3, I would have said my leadership style is servant leader, 100% all the way. Like, the only thing that matters is everybody else, and that fills my bucket. That helps me accomplish my goals. My goal is to help the most people and get them as far as I can, or connect them with the most people. Like, that is where my head was. And so it was focused on selfless. Like, that was all that mattered to me. And what I have learned, and in recent years after getting married, and we're 22 weeks pregnant, so I'm expecting my first baby, my life has totally changed because of that. And it's pivoted, I guess, more towards a selfless, selfish balance. And I say selfish very cautiously because I think it's got a negative context. But to find the balance of when to say yes to other people and when to say yes to myself and my family and my own goals. Because as I've gone through life, and thank goodness for my husband, like, pulling me out of the work glue that I was in, because I love work. Like, that's all that mattered to me. I thought I can work from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, and that's fine. And he was the first one to point out, Kyleigh, you're like working yourself to death. That's not sustainable. You need to find a hobby. Like, go work out or something. Go do something healthy. Because all that work, head down, sitting all day long in front of a computer was not healthy. And there's a lot of good to that, but that balance is kind of more where my leadership style has evolved, and thinking, yes, here's how to help other people, but sometimes I've learned that the best way to help somebody is to tell them no, because either they're going to go find another option and maybe open up a new connection and give that person a chance to help them, or they're going to kind of sink back and say, okay, is this the right direction I need to go? And it may find their pivot. So I think that balance of selfish and selfless is kind of the value that I'm focused on right now.
I think that's something a lot of us struggle with. Do you have any specific strategies that you implement in terms of managing that balance and making sure that you're taking care of your own well-being?
Yes, and it may not be the best one, but I'm going to say get a dog, because they will pull you out of the work rut. They will paw at you, and we've got bells for our dog Dover, and he rings the bells when he needs to go outside, and he kind of reminds me, okay, Mom, like I need attention, get away from work. So that is the most recent one I found that has been the most successful. But I used to, one of my mentors told me that anytime you go to reach for your phone, reach for a water cup instead, or go for a walk. And because we have this tendency to grab a phone and get online, and we are so head down in the connection that a phone can provide. So it was a fun little challenge for any time you want to reach for your phone, go for a walk or get a drink of water. So I think the strategy is find things that help pull you out of the work mode. And the Pomodoro method, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's the idea that you work for 20 minutes and you give yourself a 5-minute break. And that literally, there's a little Apple timer, not Apple like the iPhone, but Apple like the fruit. There's a little Apple timer, because that's what Pomodoro is Apple in French. And so look up that method. It's really interesting. But that's something that can like kick you out of the head down focus. But then your body knows in that 20 minutes, that's all I've got to focus. So I've got to get head down so that I earn my break. So anything to get you out of the work mode for a pause and to then come back.
Those are great strategies. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing those. Yes. This is a big question.
Yeah.
What impact do you hope that your organization will have on your community, society, as a whole? I know, big question, no pressure.
Yeah. No, that I'm going to try to set the bar low so that we can only grow, right? No, the impact I hope is kind of twofold. I hope that there is the local community piece that comes out of this. So every day we get to see people who want to be an entrepreneur, or people who have an idea to start a business and they want to manufacture something. They have an idea for a product. And I'm super grateful, actually. I'm really leaning into my experience here at Ball State, because when I was here, I was building a product called Bend and Bright. It was a collapsible toothbrush that folded into itself for hygienic storage. And I was able here on campus to 3D print that. And I had a friend, speaking of teammates and finding skill sets that complement yours, I had a friend in the architecture program. So she knew AutoCAD really well. So she actually helped me dig in deeper to help me design the toothbrush and 3D print it. So then I was able to present that for E-Day. So that, seeing that accessibility and how easy it was for me on campus as a student, we as a makerspace want to provide that to our community locally, but also, I mean, local is a relative term. It depends on what you define as local. We usually target about 60-mile radius, so 60 minutes or so with around our space, which stretches up to about Columbus and then throughout Kentucky. I want to see people feel the confidence and the change of going from, hey, I had no clue where to start, to look where I am now. And they have that excitement and that confidence in the next step because they got that education. And it may be the education of, hey, this actually isn't for me, but they learned that through the makerspace. Bigger impact and maybe very, very long term. We get reached out to all the time for consulting to build makerspaces. And I would love to see more makerspaces, again, more accessible equipment, more chances to manufacture, or at least just design and create and prototype, and to see that broaden. So I'm really kind of pushing our founder on like a digital course, because he will sit down and meet with every single person individually and he will say the same things every time. And that is not sustainable, my friends. If you can duplicate that in a passive way, we can go farther faster. So, because also part of the maker space build out is not only identifying the equipment, but also training the personnel and having an ongoing plan for maintenance and troubleshooting and having the experience in that shop and keeping inventory. Whew, if that's not hard, the filament and the canvases and all the pieces that go into the makerspace, I want to help break those gaps of education where people think one thing and maybe just need to learn a little bit more before they go into it, so that we can save them some time and energy and money, because it can be a lot. So short term and long term.
I know how entrepreneurial you are, and you've been very successful at everything that you've set your mind to. So the answer to this may be the same answer, or it may be two different answers. Okay. I'll ask it as one question, which is, where do you see yourself and or your organization in 5 to 10 years?
Okay.
And I know that may be two different things.
Yeah.
So.
As myself, actually, I guess it is kind of the same answer, but in another layer. I want to see our team grow, because being the only person is a heavy weight. And again, I cannot express enough the importance of finding those connections of people who have skills that you don't. Because while I have had to self-teach and find the experts to help me understand the taxes and the filings and all that, oh my gosh, I think it is very, very boring. And I applaud anyone who in this room loves that. Please come work for me. But I think those skill sets, we want to find those people and those pockets where we can accelerate another person's career and empower them to be a part of the space. So I want to see in 5 to 10 years, maybe it's not even me as executive director, but the space is thriving and we have the right people in the right seats to accelerate what the programs and the offerings we have right now. Because it's very easy to stay stagnant when there's so many different things going on, and it's grants, it's the marketing, it's the operations, and it's a heavy lift, and we know we need those people, so thank goodness for the volunteers. And even growing the volunteer base is a huge piece of the nonprofit. And the volunteers not only help drive those opportunities and provide some extra engagement, but they also help get the word out and bring donors in and bring opportunities. So just growth. I mean, and we've got a good foundation, but I want to see that really grow, and again, with or without me in this role, because I think at some point I would like to take a step back. I don't see myself as executive director forever. I'd like to help train the next person and see that generation grow, because the founder and I really bonded on the fact that this space is a legacy and it can grow past generations, because I got inspired to be a part of it through my mom, who was an entrepreneur. And now I'm looking at my baby thinking one day she could be an entrepreneur. It is a girl, surprise. But to see my history also become the future, with my family growing, I want to see that across the board for many families, so we can cultivate that generational wealth, because it is extremely powerful. And I don't just mean wealth in the terms of dollars, but the education and the opportunities. And a little makerspace, it feels like a little dot on the map right now. But if it can grow into a hub that connects people and opportunities, we've won. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
So hopefully there are my hope is that there are students in this room that in 5 to 10 years come back and are serving as speakers for the speaker series.
Oh yeah.
What if you could just share one piece of advice or encouragement or key message or whatever you want to call it with the next generation of leaders, what would that be? No pressure.
Yeah, I'll say another big one. I mean, we could be here all day talking about all the cliches, but I do think one cliche that I really lean into in terms of advice and thinking about the future is knowledge really is power. And I mean, knowledge is education, and it's right here, right now in the classroom. It's around campus and the experiences you're getting and the organizations you can get involved in, the work opportunities. But then even past that, it's the relationships and the knowledge you learn from and with other people. And even about yourself. I think if you're not constantly trying to grow and get more education and get more facts of life and just absorb everything you can, you're going to get past. And in the entrepreneurship world, we kind of joke, but we mean it when we say it's innovate or die. Because if you're not learning what the next step is, or what the market needs, or how to pivot your business, and to prepare for things like COVID, who knew that was going to come down, but everyone had to face it, and we saw some businesses thrive, and some maybe struggle a little bit more. And I think it really lends itself to the education they knew and the opportunities they found through that time. And no one can take away the education that you've gained. Like, that is something you will have for your life, and that can only grow. So I think get into the world and talk to as many people as you can. Get out of the classroom, get off your phone, learn. Just go learn all the things. Yeah.
Great advice.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to shift now.
Yeah.
And Kyleigh is going to...
I'm going to run around.
She's ready to answer some questions, so this way you don't have to listen to me anymore.
No.
I know you have questions based on something she said. Maybe we didn't ask her
Yeah.
something you wish we'd asked her. So she's going to come around with the mic, because we only have one that works. And if you have a question, just raise your hand, and she'll pass it down or swing by.
Yeah.
And we'll have some time now for Q&A.
I'm going to go Charlie Cardinal style. Run around.
Oh yeah, Charlie Cardinal style.
Yay.
She's going to have energy.
I need the energy back, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Who wants to chat? Ask me anything. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to have you tell me your name and then your question, please.
I'm Jess, and
Jess.
aside from your switch from theater in high school to business in college, were there any major changes in like your career or maybe your education, and how did you handle those big transitions?
Ooh. Oh, thank you, Jess. This is a good question, because I had a really weird pivot. So I've actually been let go from jobs twice due to downsizing. And one jump pivot that I made was into the security industry, like the physical, technical security. And it's really fun to joke that like I was the bodyguard, because people are like, "Ooh, security. So you?" No. I mean, like, security cameras and access control and surveillance. That was not a path I ever saw myself going down, but through the connections and the mentorships and the community, I found an opportunity with that. And that led me to a lot of growth I started in a team lead position, I moved to sales, and then I moved to marketing, and I learned a ton. So not something I expected, but something I'm super grateful for now. Great question, Jess. Thank you. Let's party. Let's go. Tell me your name and then your question, please.
I'm Randall,
Randall.
and you said you've been like excelling in these leadership positions. I'm wondering, how did you get yourself into these positions? Like, what sort of things did you do to prove yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Randall, for the question. It was all an accident. No, I'm kidding. I think it was a lot of what we talked about with the connections and the mentorships and trying to find the opportunities. And what I found through that was it wasn't always an opportunity that was already built. Sometimes those leadership positions had to be created. And actually, to tie both Jess and Randall's questions together with the security world, the role that I had stepped into in the security industry was a role that didn't exist. And through the connection that I had, she saw my resume, she had known me through the community. I was involved in the Chamber of Commerce too, if you guys can. Check those events out, check out the connections through the local chamber. Great business connections there. We had known each other, and so she saw what I could do, so she said, "I don't have a position for you, but I want you here. Let's work on creating it." So it was never ever by myself either. I don't think I could. Oh my gosh. But through partnerships, those opportunities were created and then leaned into. Thank you for your question, Randall. Who else? Let's have fun. I see your hand. Let's go. I like your sweatshirt.
Thank you.
Tell me your name and your question, please.
I'm Avery, and I have two questions.
Bring them
So
on.
you said you're like an artistic entrepreneur, and I was wondering if you've ever struggled with burnout and how you balance that. And also, do you have any encouragement for like people who have just started, or like for me, I just am minoring in entrepreneurship, and it
Yeah.
can seem pretty daunting at times, like learning how to make connections and getting involved. So if you have any words of encouragement.
Oh, great questions. Oh my gosh, you guys are on it. Thank you, Avery. So the first part, the artistic piece and the burnout, 100%. I think you can experience burnout in any role. I think whether it's your own business and you're an entrepreneur, or you're working for a different company. I think burnout's really easy, so that's where that life balance comes in, and get yourself a dog or something to get you up and moving again. But the burnout, in terms of like what I faced, I'll say One of the businesses that I started is an Etsy shop, and that feels so weird to say out loud because I feel like it's like this like little tiny goofy business, but it's made my family extra money, and so I'll take it. But I have felt burnout with that, no doubt, and there's been times when I'm like, just gonna close it up, never look at it again. Technically right now it's actually on hiatus because I was really burnt out trying to figure out this new job and build my family, and it just felt like one more thing. So to know that I can pause it, as an entrepreneur, that's kind of the exciting power, is you get the chance to say, this needs to pause, or I'm done, or I'm adding something. You have that choice. Remind me the second question, too.
Encouragement for incoming
Entrepreneurs? Yes, because it's daunting. Yes, I think the encouragement is find those connections and find those outlets. Because like you said, making connections, it can be really taxing. And can be really stressful at times too, because you always want to be your best and you always have to feel like you're on. And I would say find those people that you're really comfortable with, that you may just meet up and like work in a coffee shop at the same time. Like you're not even talking, you're just in the same room as that person. And I think they can help bring you back to like, okay, I'm a human, I'm not a robot, I'm not meant to go every day. And sometimes I get frustrated or I get scared. And when you find those comfortable connections, whether it be a friend or a family member or a mentor, I think you can kind of like bring yourself back a little bit better. Great question, Avery. Thank you. Oh, my ribs. I'm going to breathe real quick. Who else? You want to be my friend? Let's go. I'm going to sneak behind. I don't know the best way to do it. Y'all are great. Thank you, guys. I'm going to shimmy all the way down. Excuse me. Thank you. Tell me your name and your question, please. I'm going to join you guys right here if that's okay. Let's go.
Okay, I'm Abby. I was wondering how you would recommend to students deal with the pressure of like the timeline after graduating.
Oh, yeah.
How you're expected before you graduate to have a career, have a job in place. As someone who's been in college for a few too many years, I still don't really know like what I want to do directly after, so I'm starting to feel like that pressure.
Okay.
So I wonder what you would recommend.
Great question. Thank you, Abby. I'm going to stand up on the side here, but I'm going to still talk to you from afar. So Abby asked a really great question of the timeline, that crunch feel. Gosh, if I have not experienced this, and I think everyone I've spoken to has experienced this to some degree. Oh, I'm not blocking you. Okay. Hi. Gosh, I think there's a lot of different ways you can go through it. Actually, I really saw this as a problem too when I was in my master's. Actually, when I was here at grad school, what I saw was it feels like we're expected to choose our career and our life when we're like 18 and finishing up high school. Now you got to choose your college, your major, and your career, and you go. And how many times have we heard of a pivot? I mean, how many friends or ourselves have changed a major or tried something new? So that was actually one of the businesses that I tried to start, was a pathway to learn more about yourself and what opportunities. Because I'll be darned if I was not like 25 when I learned that there's a job as an ice cream taste tester, and I was like a little mad I didn't pursue that. And so still going for it though, not giving up. But I think in terms of a strategy to help kind of alleviate that pressure is go out and try things. Go out and talk to people in industries that are interesting, job shadow, do research. I'm going to take a breath real quick. Gosh, baby ribs are real. If you can, check out, I would say ONET online is a great resource. It kind of gives you some job discovery that matches your skills with career opportunities and the outlook of those worlds. So that can be really fun to explore. But I think the best way to like learn it is to truly get out and go try it. Like again, job shadow, talk to somebody and kind of narrow in and then start somewhere. And like, I'll be darned if I have not had what feels like a lifetime of careers, multiple careers. So I think we put pressure on ourselves to find the right answer. And the right answer is that there is no right answer. You just go. Good job, Abby. Thank you. Who else? I'm not going to run this time. I'm going to fast walk. Yay. Yeah, Charlie Cardinal days are way over. I had way more energy and stamina.
I was pregnant with my daughter when I was wrapping up my MBA and having to do final presentations.
Oh my gosh.
And I have no fear of public speaking. I'm only out of breath.
Yes. There's no room for lungs. Oh, I applaud you. Let's go. Name and question, please.
My name's Sam, and my
Sam.
question is, I know you brought it up a couple times about connections.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing that a lot. I'm in a jobs like searching class, and we're going all over that right now.
Cool.
And I keep hearing about it, but it may just be because I'm a freshman and I don't have any experience, but could you break down a little bit more about how I can make those connections and how I know like who to find and who to talk to?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Great question, Sam. Thank you. Yes, this is something that it does feel like it's talked about all the time, and then the question is how. I would really say use your resources on campus as a student. So professors and faculty and staff, everyone here wants to help you succeed. So go to your academic counselors, go to people in your department, or even maybe departments that you're curious about, but maybe you're not in and you think, I want to explore this. Ask them for insight, ask them for connections to say, hey, is there someone maybe in the industry? And kind of to Abby's question, if you're looking for people to maybe interview or job shadow, your team here at Ball State, call them your team, call them your board of directors, find those people. The other answer I would say is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I started mine when I was a sophomore here, so 2014, and I've been building it since. And the connections I've made, and you're active on it, you're posting, people see that. But then to get a little brave and to reach out and say, hey, I'm a student at Ball State, I haven't met you in person yet, but I want to connect with you and see if I can take you to a cup of coffee. And my advice to that is always offer to pay, like you're asking for their time, so you gift them a coffee. Always write a thank you note, 100% a handwritten one, please. And then offer what you can do to help them too as a connection. That's, I think, where the connection builds past just a one-off meeting, is you can say, hey, I know I'm just a student. Get rid of the word just. Say, I know I'm a student, but I have, connections and skill sets, and I want to help you too. And that, I think, really stands out to a lot of leaders and experts in the field, because that's not something they get all the time either. They get asked of a lot, but they're not gifted a lot. So I would start there. Good question, Sam. Who else? Who else wants to be my friend? Oh my gosh. Of course, we're going to hike back here. I know, we're getting all the steps in. Thank you, because I have 6 hours on the road. So we're going to go. And we're right in the camera. Hi. There you are. Tell me your name and your question, please.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm curious, as you have gone through, obviously you play a big role as you're going to be a mother. How are you looking forward to adapting to that part of your life?
Ah, Luke, this is a great question. Not one I've gotten a chance to talk a lot about. As a mother, I don't know. Actually, it's one of those things that everyone says you can't ever be ready for. And to kind of peel back the curtain on my personal life, I was actually 5 months out of my undergrad graduation when I did lose my own mom. She passed away suddenly from a heart attack. We were actually going to a business conference together, so I happened to be in town when I found her. So there was that tough part, and that weighs a lot on me right now, kind of being a future mom. But I also lean into that because I know how much hope she gave me, how much education she taught me. And I'll be darned if there was not like one question I ever asked her about being a mom. So now I'm like, oh, who else can I ask? And that is even back to the connections that you make in the business world, there's also connections you'll make in the personal world. So while I don't have my own mom to help me teach me to be a mom, I've got my mother-in-law, I've got my aunts, I've got my friends' moms. So I think the humbleness to say, hey, I'm going to be a new mom and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to balance my career and being a new mom. I think I'm going to ask a lot of questions and just soak it all in. Great question. Like, thank you. Oh, breathing is so hard. Hi. Who else? How much time do we have?
Probably about time for five
Okay.
minutes or so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hold y'all too long. Who else? Bring on anything. I'm seeing a lot of stretching. You.
We have 20 minutes, but I
Oh.
know students like to stay after.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Oh, we can do all the
Let's
things.
do 2 more questions then.
Nothing even about like the Charlie Cardinal world. Hey, Abby, let's come back. Oh, I'm gonna run. This is so fun. Woo! Would you guys mind helping me pass? Oh, sorry. Would you mind pass that? No, you are great. Stay right there. I'm gonna not try to climb over everybody again. Thank you. Let's go, Abby.
Okay, so you talked about being more of the creative type instead of like sitting down and like getting like the pieces put together and done.
Yeah.
I'm also that kind of person. So I find I struggle with comparing myself to my friends who are just like, they put their head down, they come up with like the numbers and the answers. Besides just like obviously using that friendship to like help grow yourself, how do you deal with like wanting to compare yourself to others?
Oh, can you help me pass that back? Thank you all so much. Team effort. See, look at that. Thank you all. And thank you, Abby, for the question. Gosh, oh my gosh, if comparison has not like been the thief of joy in my life for a long time, and that's another cliche for you. Comparison truly is like, it's so easy, especially with the world we have online, to get in our heads and think, hey, I'm not doing what this person is doing, or I'm not as successful as this person. I'm going to say that everyone's success looks different, and where you may feel, hey, I'm not where they are, I guarantee you there's people looking at you thinking, I'm not where she is. And so I think when you just kind of tune out the world and say, what I'm doing is good, what I'm doing is something to be proud of, any direction forward is a learning moment. Any couple steps back is also a learning moment. So I think it's really easy to get wrapped up. And like, again, losing my mom at such a young age and seeing her life be cut short, it made me really appreciate that life is truly like, you just never know. So taking every day as an opportunity. And the people that we may compare ourselves to could be some really close friends. And we think, hey, instead of comparing myself and being jealous, how can we celebrate their success and get more excited for them and be their Charlie Cardinals, be a cheerleader, be a mascot, but get excited for them. And I think that joy comes back to us. It's kind of the light each other's candle thing. And in terms of the head down, because again, I'm not that person always. And okay, if anyone's taking Clifton Strengths, you know that there's like your top talents and then your lesser talents. They don't call them weaknesses, and I think that's a really neat way to say that. Because when you say I'm not good at something, it feels like that's it. It feels like I'm just going to give up. And to a degree, do you spend your time accelerating your strengths, or do you spend your time like sabotaging yourself to make yourself better at something that you're truly not destined for? But I think there's activities that you can do. So maybe there's a topic that you're like, I need to sit down and crank this out. This is not my jam. But maybe there's a way to make it fun. One of the examples I like to lean into was, I actually was coaching a student when I was a grad assistant here. And she worked at Crew Car Wash, hated it, but was in her senior year and just said, hey, I just need to make it. I make good money there. I've got like 4 more months left. What can I do to make it fun? And her top talent of Clifton Strengths was competitive. And she naturally compared herself. She naturally said, oh, how can I be better? And we flipped that on its head and we said, hey, instead of being better than that person, how can you be better than yourself? So she started setting goals. So every day she would say, how many customer names can I know? How many people can I make smile today? And she found a way to kind of make the activity that wasn't so fun a little more enjoyable so that she could get through. Because I'll be darned if I didn't go for my MBA and I said my concentration was going to be finance. That's funny to me because I am not great at numbers. And Dr. Rhonda Smith, I don't know if she's still in management here. No, shoot, dang, find her on LinkedIn. But connect with her if she's still.
Sunny Florida today.
Oh, bless her heart. I'm so jealous. Connect with Dr. Rhonda Smith, too. She's the one who talked me out of the finance concentration. And she said, Kyleigh, it's okay to drop it. Like, you can quit, and that's good, because now you're going to spend your time doing something that you're better at. That kind of full circle answers. Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Who
Right,
else?
So we need to do a few things.
Yeah.
That we're wrapping up.
Here, I'll
First
put it in
thing
my
is
back.
we need to thank Kyleigh for
Oh my
her.
gosh.
I mean, she drove a long way to be
Yeah.
here with you. She's a busy, a successful leader.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Not that you had a choice. Just kidding.
Lots of great takeaways and insights. The second thing we're going to do is take a quick selfie with the students.
Heck yeah.
So I'm going to have you all kind of lean in a little bit, and I am going to have a student take
Okay,
it. And
fun.
Then we will do a wrap up with our attendance stuff. So
Perfect.
let's get our picture.
Awesome. Y'all want to throw chirp chirp up? Yeah. Embrace the Charlie.
There you go.
Fun fact, our baby's name is Charlotte, therefore it's Charlie. So not that I'm obsessed with Ball State, but if I was.
All right.